I'm Daz and you're in DasCafe, and today I want to prepare peanut butter clusters. Okay, we're going to start with this peanut butter cluster, real simple, and it's probably a very good snack for the family. And I start off with using about 2 cups of a natural peanut butter, and I'm using that Smucker's natural peanut butter. And then I will add about a 1/4 cup of a non-dairy milk. Then you can use about a 1/2 cup of chopped dates and or a small box of raisins. And I'm using raisins today. About 3 tablespoons of honey, and I'm using a raw honey. And you really don't need that much. You may find that you don't need to add any other sweetener other than the apricot preserves that I'm getting ready to use. Almost 3 tablespoons of apricot preserve. I like apricot preserve or peach preserve. It gives it a really good taste. Now I'm going to put this in the microwave until it kind of melts a little bit and I can stir it very easily, and we'll be right back. Well, I just got it out of the microwave, and now I'm just going to start stirring it to kind of blend all of those ingredients. We've got that peanut butter, the apricot preserves, our raw honey, our raisins, a little bit of that non-dairy milk, and of course, our natural peanut butter. I've got about 2 cups of corn flakes. I'll add a little bit at a time. Continue to stir it. All I'm going to do now is just make little balls or little clusters, and I will put it in this little, a glass container. You don't have to grease it or anything like that, but you can get the kids to come in and help you to make these. They can make the balls. There's nothing that would be detrimental to their preparing this, unless they have a peanut allergy, obviously. Then you can substitute with the almond butter or any other nut butters that you can get on the market today. To make the clusters, it's really simple, but the most important thing is it's very good. One of my favorites. So I want to talk about what manipulation looks like, how they go about trying to entrap you, and what you can do to stop being manipulated. Now, manipulation could feel like this. Do you ever feel pressure, or do you feel that you're being strongly nudged to go in a direction that you really don't want to go in? Do you feel sometimes that you have no choice, or that you are obligated to do something and you really don't want to do it? If you feel this way sometimes, you probably are being manipulated. You see, manipulators influence your behavior to do something, and sometimes it's underhanded, sometimes it's deceptive, but to do something that fulfills their agenda, their interests, their goals. And I'm telling you, manipulators can be artists at what they do. Sometimes they've waited to the last minute and they are in a jam, but they know they can count on you because you always come through. And manipulators, sometimes they wait to the last minute, or they're just not considerate of you and how this request can impact you. Let me put it another way. I have 2 scenarios. Scenario number 1. Son has taken ill. He's very ill, and I'm afraid to leave him home alone. Could you please pick up Susie at the daycare until I can make further arrangements? Now that's not manipulation. Your neighbor's son became ill, and she explained to you that she will try to make further arrangements. That's a sincere request. That's not manipulation. Scenario number 2. Now, we were just talking about you. We were just talking about you. Oh, we like how you give a presentation. You have such a good sense of humor. And because of that, that is why I put your name down to speak, to be our key speaker at the holiday gala. Oh, it's just an hour presentation. I know you'll do a fine job. Oh, you always will do well. That's manipulation. Manipulators, they are artists at what they do. So what can you do? I have 4 things that you can do. So tip number 1, you can say, you know, it is last minute. I'm sorry. I can't do that. One clean, straight sentence, straight to the point. No exhaustive list of reasons why you can't do it. Just straight to the point. Just say no. Now, remember, the manipulator is an artist, so they may come back at you and say something like, oh, but you have to, because if you don't speak, well, who can I get at this last minute? And you have to, because this is the holiday gala. This is the biggest event of the year. And if we don't have a speaker, well, it's going to be ruined. So listen. So now the pressure is on you. Now you may be feeling you have no choice. You may feel obligated because you don't want everybody to think that the holiday gala was ruined because of you. But this is what I want you to do. Get yourself together and say, I'm sorry, it's last minute. I will have to say no. Tip number 2. I call it softening the blow, or I call it taking a piece of the pie. And it goes something like this. You can say, okay, I understand it is last minute. I won't agree to be the key speaker, but you did mention that there will be some side workshops, and they're about 15 minutes. And I can do one of those side workshops, and I can teach people how to make their own Christmas ornaments. I think that will go over very well. Soften the blow. You see, you don't take the whole pie, you just take a piece of the pie. Tip number 3. You can say, let me think about it. And I want you to think about it. I want you to think, what is it going to cost you? I want you to think, what is it going to cost you in terms of your time, resources? For example, you may have to get a brand new holiday banquet gown and the wrap that goes with it, the shoes, the purse, and all the trimmings. You may have to get your hair done, your nails done, and you hadn't planned for that. You didn't budget for that. And also, what will it cost you in terms of your health? If it's last minute and you are the key speaker, well, you may be up very late at night preparing for your speech. And even if you were to get to sleep, you may be tossing and turning, so that can impact your health. And I saved the best for last, your relationship. Are you thinking that if you don't say yes, that it is going to cost you your relationship with this person? Newsflash. If your relationship becomes unhinged or is damaged in any way because you said no, you didn't have a solid friendship or relationship in the first place. Keep it moving. Tip number 4, set boundaries. I want you to set boundaries. I want you to be thinking in terms of what's important to you. What do you want to accomplish during this time? What aspirations and interests do you have? Because if you're always succumbing to everyone else's agenda, then you start becoming just a sponge. And people start perceiving you as maybe being weak or being a reliable doormat. And you don't want to be perceived as that. So set boundaries. And when you think in terms of what is it that I want to accomplish, how much time it's going to take, then you can probably better gauge how much free time you have left. You know, I had to do that. I remember there was a time in my life that I wanted to write my own material because I'm a speaker and sometimes I do training. I didn't want to use other people's material, so I started writing books and training manuals. And during that time, I was getting a lot of requests requests. And so I had to set boundaries because I knew I couldn't accomplish my personal goals and say yes to everybody else. So I did number one. I just started saying no. And after a period, well, I guess I wasn't getting as many requests. So they probably said, don't ask her. Don't even bother to ask her. But anyway, I had to determine at that time what was important for me. And I want you to do the same thing because you pack your own suitcase. And what I want you to pack in your suitcase is time for yourself. And so think of those 4 things the next time someone asks you for a request. And I will say this, it's okay. And even when I was my busiest, if there were a genuine request, such as the lady who asked her neighbor could she pick up her daughter from daycare, sure, I did things like that. I always try to work ahead so I have time for those life interruptions. So if you're always succumbing to other people's agenda, then you may be being manipulated. But now you know what to do.